nose goes from limb to limb, fingertip to painted lip. She sways her way up to him. Says, now that your wallet is all lit up, now that your wallet is all. Buy this car to drive to work to pay for this car. Buy this car to drive to work to work.
Welcome to Yellow Brick Road. I'm Jordan. This is James. And today we're going to do a live version. The first time in a while. We just got off suspension. This might put us right back on suspension when you think about it. We're going to be reacting to Tulsi Gabbard, her interview with Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks. I was hoping Anna would be there since she made that video, but whatever. Alright, before we get started, please consider donating to Devon's Journey to Recovery. The link is in the description box, and the website is in the intro to this video, with a different Metric song playing. This one's called Hustle Rose. That's right, go download the album, and then donate to Devon's Journey to Recovery. The GoFundMe link is in our description box. Shoutouts for days. Alright, so I remember people in the comment section telling us... So people were in the comment section telling us that after we did the Anna Kasparian versus Tulsi Gabbard videos, they were telling us that Tulsi was going to be on the Young Turks on Friday. And here she is. Now, let me turn the fucking autoplay off, motherfucker. Now, I broke character. Now, here's what I really wanted to see. Because Anna had all the questions, right? She had all the, okay, is she really progressive on these things? She's a hawk on terror and a dove on whatever, interventionism, whatever it's called. So I expected Anna to be here. She even had this whole thing with Nico House. They're sort of going back and forth on Twitter, arguing, saying, oh, Nico's like, debate me, motherfucker, debate me. And it's all because Anna comes off as smearing Tulsi. That's the way it seems to a lot of people, a lot of Tulsi followers, and Nico House himself. So it sucks Anna's not here to push her feet to the fire.
Oh,
maybe she tapped out. What?
I thought she was going to be doing it.
That's what I thought, but we get Cenk. We get the head man. So, enough stalling. Here we go. Tulsi Gabbard on the Young Turks, interviewed by Cenk Uygur. Just out like 30 minutes ago. Here we go. Cha. Oh, wait. Cha.
All right, welcome to the Young Turks. We've got a great interview for you guys right now. Joining me is Representative Tulsi Gabbard, running for President of the United States. Tulsi, welcome to the Young Turks.
Cenk. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Good to have you at Rebel headquarters. I've interviewed you a number of times, but never as a presidential candidate.
My first time here, also, actually to your headquarters.
That's right. That's
impressive.
Right. So, Tulsi, you're running for president,
yes.
And we've got a lot of folks running for president, and so there's a little bit of a competition for who is more progressive, which is a great thing, which is a wonderful thing.
What a
right?
change, huh?
Yeah, now some are not in that competition. Some, like Senator Klobuchar, say, no thanks, right? She's running as a moderate, as a centrist, and everybody's got their own lanes, right? First of all,
she has no chance. Klobuchar, no chance. Just saying.
Would you call yourself progressive?
Yeah.
Of course. Okay. And so I wanted to ask you some questions about concerns that people have about some of the issues where you're not progressive, because I think a lot of people know the issues that you are progressive in, and if they don't, they should, like Medicare for all, and obviously getting out of the.
So it's a little weird. He's telling her positions where you're not progressive at. It's like maybe that's how you're interpreting them. A lot of people are saying you're interpreting what Tulsi's stances are and you're fucking them up. Your interpretation is not what she actually means. So to outright just say, oh, you have some policies that are not progressive. It's like, Are you the king of progressivism? I would figure that'd be Jimmy Dore's thing, right? If you're gonna say someone's like, this is the representative, this is the symbol of the progressive movement, I might point at Jimmy Dore over Cenk. Mr. Russia, Russia, Russia.
This is the symbol of the progressive. Fuck you.
All right, here we go.
The wars, which is really your go-to issue, and that has made you in a lot of ways famous in a good way, right? So some have concerns about your framing on the war on terror, and you've got some unfortunate fans there. Now that's not your fault. There's nothing you could do about it. But Steve Bannon does like you. He said, or there's an.
That's a who cares type of thing. Also, whatever. That's a who cares type of thing. Say, okay, what's your actual thing? All right, let's continue.
Anonymous source.
Oh, I was gonna say also, the only reason I think she's here is because people were complaining so much that she's getting like blacked out.
Probably.
From mainstream and from guys that call themselves independent.
Gillette corporate sellout, fuck wad.
Fuck. All right.
Saying Bannon loves Tulsi Gabbard, loves her, wants to work with her on everything. She would fit perfectly to inside the administration. She has the foreign policy stuff and the Islamic terrorism stuff. I don't want.
Yeah, just remember, you see that thing in the corner right there? Anonymous source.
The hell?
Those are very credible. Those anonymous guys, don't they wear the Guy Fawkes mask? They're pretty good. They're pretty reliable sources. Also, who cares? It's like Hitler liked pie.
Hitler liked
who
animals.
You know who else likes pie? Tulsi Gabbard.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, The Rock too.
Do you like pie?
I want you to respond to Steve Bannon's mind because you can't control it, etc. But I think the reason he likes you is because I'm going to show a clip here and about your thoughts on Islamic extremism. Then I want you to react to your own thoughts and your own positions on it. Let's watch together.
Something happened today where Secretary Kerry made a statement which I think was very evident of the problem that we're seeing, where in a speech she talked about how these Islamic extremists, that they are engaged in, and I quote, criminal conduct rooted in alienation, poverty, thrill-seeking, and other factors. And he went on to say that ultimately this fight will be determined by our success in creating prosperity that's widely shared. This is completely missing the point of exactly this radical Islamic ideology that's fueling these people, and mistakenly, a huge mistake, thinking that somehow, okay, well look, if we give them $10,000 and give them a nice place to live, that somehow they're not going to be engaged in this fighting.
All right, the first obvious question is, do you still believe that?
Yes. The ideology, what my comments there are focusing on is, in order to defeat this threat of terrorism that is not only existing for the American people in the United States, but these terrorist groups like ISIS and Al-Qaeda who are killing and wreaking havoc on people in other parts of the world, in order to defeat this threat of terrorism, you have to understand the ideology that's driving them. And if you look at terrorist groups like ISIS and Al-Qaeda, the ideology that they share comes out of Saudi Arabia. It's this Wahhabi Salafist ideology that basically preaches, unless you follow their perverted brand of Islam, then you must either convert or be killed or enslaved.
So that sounds like a legit response. First of all, I wouldn't never even question it. In my mind, what I saw Tulsi's stance was, what? We are back, live. But yeah, all right. What I saw Tulsi's stance as was, she didn't mean a blanket term of all Muslims. That's why you put the word radical there. That's why you put the word extremist. That's why you put the word terrorist. Also, why not understand their ideology so you can see how they move? Why not do that? So this was never a question for me. Pyramid. Yes. Marshall Villager. Pyramid 7. We got a packed house tonight. So.
It's like, James and Jordan, I knew you'd be here. Been waiting.
But yeah, I think that's an SJW leap to where you start looking at semantics like names and shit. I think everyone understood what Tulsi meant, which was this isolated radical Wahhabist group.
Yeah.
And type, not all Muslims.
Yeah, no,
How dare you, Pierre?
Oh, stop it.
This isn't.
It's a compliment.
You're lucky this isn't the workplace. You'd be fired on the spot.
Actually, the workplace offers many different ventures, and as well as anyway, right, making the distinctive difference between right. Oh, see, that dude's a hired fucking thug. This is an extremist.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, what area of the world is this coming from specifically? Are you just labeling people that are being hired, like mercenaries,
Yeah.
as terrorists? Or is it, right? Or is it rebels?
Yeah. Yeah, the government was playing with semantics too.
So
All the normal people were calling these guys in Syria, oh, that's Al Qaeda, those are terrorist dudes.
Mhm.
The government was calling them moderates.
Yeah.
It's like, And also, imagine if they called the New Zealand shooter, what if they called him just white instead of supremacist or extremist or terrorist? I think the labels would be important in that area. And with
that doesn't look right.
I don't like, what?
Nah, it's... Shows me going like...
Oh, you can't see the bottle.
Oh, they can see the bottle.
Yeah.
Just, for all they know, this is fucking vodka in the bottle.
All right.
I made it myself.
All right, let's continue. So the labeling, I don't know why this is a big deal, but Anna made it a big deal apparently. So I guess TYT has to ask about it.
He's a fucking, tight-ass Gillette corporate sellout fuckwad.
Yeah. And if you guys missed the beginning, I said, why isn't Anna here doing this? She made the whole video thing. She had the beef with Nico House about Tulsi.
Throwing stones and hiding your hand and going home.
Maybe she's busy. I'm going to be fair. Maybe she's busy.
Yeah, busy counting money from that Gillette commercial.
All right, let's continue.
2 and 6 and 8.
Let's continue.
This ideology is what Saudi Arabia is propagating around the world, spending billions of dollars to spread this ideology, which is creating fertile recruiting grounds for these terrorist groups. So when we talk about defeating the threat...
Just imagine her in, Derek Lewis's position. Where's Anna's fine ass at? Asks him, where's she at?
Yeah. That might be a little thing I disagree with
What?
Tulsi on. I don't think it's the religion itself, like these terrorist dudes using an extreme form of a religion to recruit people. I think it's more of revenge, desperation.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Maybe financially. I think that's what's getting the bulk of people. And the religion part, the extremist religion is just more of a reinforcement.
I've heard.
I'm not going against God. Like if you're a religious person and they give you a reason to kill, and it's like we're twisting the religion around to where God wants you to do this. That's just like a bonus fact. That's a bonus mind control type factor.
I've heard fucking stories of just U.S. just running up into people's homes and shooting people. And you're telling me those fuckers don't want revenge?
Yeah.
And I've heard personal accounts like we want them out of here. Our cousins, we try to tell them not to engage them. That's what they want.
Yeah.
Here's the shit, right? You engage, like you fight them off. Let's say they show up in a village, and you shoot at them. They'll call you a terrorist.
Yeah.
See, the Al Qaeda, they're here.
So if TYT wants to bring up the point that it's really the wars that are creating the extremists as a counterpoint, like, well, she's anti-interventionist as well. So you got nothing there. Let's continue.
Threat of terrorism. It has to be done both militarily and ideologically, defeating this exclusivist ideology that preaches hate against whether it's Christians or other Muslims or Hindus or Jews or atheists or others, anyone who does not follow this Wahhabi Salafist ideology.
So I think that there's a lot of progressives who agree with you on the threat of Saudi Arabia. Ro Khanna, Ilhan Omar, yourself have done a great job in pointing out the problems.
And we should be. They should be, and more of them should be.
With Saudi Arabia and their war in Yemen. So a lot of good progressives on that front. But some good progressives that are in that same camp have an issue with the framing of radical Islamic extremism. That's a term that the right wing uses, and they're not comfortable with putting Islamic in there because they're worried that it leads to other consequences. So for example, they think it might lead to discrimination, and Donald Trump then did say that he wants a complete and total ban on Muslims overall.
Like so many of
Damn
you,
ads.
it is painful
I told you
and
they
disheartening to
wait a
see
minute.
how much
Wait.
divisiveness is being fomented.
I'm not getting banned for a fucking
But
commercial.
she might do
And then
this.
he asked for extreme vetting of Syrian refugees, which you actually voted for. And so, but correct me if I'm wrong on any.
Yeah, but you're saying her wanting more vetting and more investigating on these people coming into the country. You're taking that and you're adding it to the, she says radical Islam. So that means she's Islamophobic. So you tie the two together. She wants to ban them, or she wants heavy vetting, and she says Islam when she says radical. Come on now.
It's a disingenuous assumption.
These are dumb, I hate using the word SJW argument type of things where you worry about labels.
Well, look at.
Let's just call them those guys, whatever.
Well, it's like right.
But you have to understand their ideology.
Where is it
But-
based? Like, where is it based from? It's like a talking point in a way.
Yeah.
Like where does that come from? And you're basing this off of what?
Yeah.
SJWs fucking people saying this shit?
It seems like worrying more about labels rather than getting the fucking job done.
Oh yeah.
Which is
Hey, even if it's a small group of them, do they exist?
Yeah.
Okay. Who's funding them? I see.
what do they believe?
Yeah.
Or claim to believe at least.
Sure. So it's correct me if I'm wrong. I said this like 2 days ago or maybe yesterday.
Yeah.
2001 September 11th. Tax enlistment for the U.S. Army fucking skyrockets.
Yes.
70% approved for the war. You telling me that's not some sort of radical
Yeah.
like movement going on right there?
Iraq War, 70+% people were for it.
Yeah. So
Also, I just want to add in, I believe the Young Turks like using the term like white supremacists or white nationalists. It's like, why are you using that term white in there?
yeah.
I mean, it's just it's a label to understand maybe where these people's mindsets are coming from. I don't see anything wrong with it. Let's continue.
Any of this. So can you see their concern about both the framing of that and the vote on extreme vetting?
What I don't understand is how people who call themselves progressives could somehow stand behind or defend this ideology that Saudi Arabia is spreading and that terrorist groups like Al-Qaeda and ISIS adhere to. This is the most repressive, harmful, devastating ideology that must be defeated.
And she means the extremist guys. She means the ones that are basically bastardizing the actual religion with their own extremist views.
Sure.
So that's what she means by that particular ideology. She doesn't mean Muslims in this blanket term
No.
for every Muslim in the world.
And it's right, and it's those people who fucking like bastardize it. They make room for the silly people to make arguments. See, it's a horrible thing.
Yeah.
Islam's a horrible thing.
Yeah.
Like you're giving them now you make way for them to have a podium somewhere. You just gave me ground to say a bunch of dumb shit I know very little about.
Yeah, it's gonna be leeches leaping
like-
on to Tulsi's Tulsi's words and being like, "Oh, she's like with us, like David
Yeah.
Duke, and Steve Bannon.
Yeah.
I really like she said Islam in there.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, all right, come on, guys.
Guys, she said white. That's
You
us.
can't tell the difference between David Duke and Tulsi Gabbard. I don't know what to fucking say to you.
She said white. It's us.
That's right. Down with U.S. imperialism. Fuck yes. From the we need a signal for him. Marshall Villager. Should be like.
Not this. Has to be this. No, it's this. My bad. It's like I have cuts right here. It's like.
I was thinking The Matrix. That thing Morpheus does that Yoel Romero could never do, where he's like this.
Oh, you mean the fucking hand
Yeah.
behind the back?
All right, let's continue.
Yoel can't even put his hands in his pockets, man. He just does this.
We need like a Joe Rogan's Clips guy. Maybe someday. We'll get
Someday.
enough followers. All right, let's continue.
And this is specifically why I make this distinction between this specific ideology, this Wahhabi Salafist ideology, as distinct from the Muslim, vast majority of Muslims around the world who do not adhere to and who condemn this kind of exclusivist ideology.
Yeah.
She needs to tie up her hair in a bun just so I can see if she has an earplug in there. You know what I mean? Distinction between Islam and extremists.
What?
I said it the other day.
All right.
She's like, okay. Yeah, I'm just fucking around.
It wasn't Marshall
She got-
Village.
she
It was
got-
someone else who
she got-
recommended
Yeah.
the Michael Tracy and Tulsi Gabbard interview, which I did listen to all of
I'm
it.
saying she has an earpiece under the hair.
Yeah.
She got a bug in here somewhere.
And I also saw her on Jimmy Dore earlier today.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, they're asking her real questions so we can hear fucking policy. Might want to hear that shit. But let's continue.
It is exactly for this reason, in order to defeat it, we have to understand what it is and to drive that distinction that sets that apart.
Let me be clear to everybody watching. No progressive is in favor of that ideology. It is the right wing of the Muslim world. It is atrocious. No one agrees with it.
Why are you saying the right wing? I hate the team playing thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like you can hear his mentality just out loud in front of you. It's the right wing version of like, no, it's bad. Just say this is this is dog shit. This is bad.
Are you telling me Ron Paul is like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Probably like the right from what you told me and from what I've seen. Like, oh, like you're the actual representative of a like right wing politician.
He is the model of conservatism. He is the definition of conservative.
Mm-hmm.
These other guys, like the George Bushes, those
Neocons.
are neocons.
Basically,
They're fuckboys.
well, I was gonna say they have no fucking balls. You know what I mean?
Cheney has no heart.
And you know, dude, like they thought he had a heart attack. It turns out there's just too much dust in there.
They just had the Secret Service standing on freeways looking for car accidents to steal hearts from.
It's like, listen up.
Cheney needs a new heart. Get on I-70.
It's like,
Just looking for a car.
we're gonna wait for the first day of summer. Then Splashtown Park. We're gonna make sure a lot of kids go. Preferably a young male.
Make him an athlete.
We're gonna make sure that I get a new heart.
That's fucking hilarious. All right, let's continue.
Oh, the new heart thing? Yeah.
Yeah. This fucking Secret Service just scoping out with binoculars on like I-70, like waiting for car accident.
Oh yeah.
Is it a young male? Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised that dude drinks.
Cheney, we found your new
I would
heart.
not be surprised that dude drinks children's blood. I would not be surprised.
Let's continue.
You get a high from that.
The
Fuck boy.
question that those folks have is that putting the word Islamic in there seems to unnecessarily bring the whole religion into it. And then let's go to the vote, because there was 47 Democrats that voted with the Trump administration on the extreme vetting of Syrian refugees. You were among them.
This was actually during the Obama administration. This was not during the Trump administration. The Obama administration had come in and spoken to the Democratic caucus prior to this vote taking place, saying that our concerns about this bill is we don't have enough resources to make sure that this vetting that the bill called for occurred. Basically, what that bill said is that I believe it was the Department of Homeland Security needs to certify that refugees who are seeking asylum in this country have been vetted. Try to prevent anyone who is seeking to abuse the system from sneaking into our country in that way. That was what was presented to us by members of President Obama's cabinet, and them coming before a committee saying, the problem with this is we just don't have the resources. Why don't we provide you with the resources to make sure that Department of Homeland Security is able to do their job? That was the information that we had going in to that vote. And the reason why I voted the way that I did is because unless our vetting system is doing its job, then we end up harming all refugees who are trying to come into this country. Because if you have, and we have had examples of people who have abused it and used it, and terrorist groups who have come in, or individuals who have come in and started trying to plan attacks here in the homeland. When that happened under the Obama administration, they shut down the entire asylum program, stopping any refugees at all from coming into our country for a period of time. I think it was at least 6 months or so, putting the whole program in question.
That's a great fucking point, right? You have, 1 out of 100,000 is like a bad dude.
Yeah.
And that one bad dude ruins everything for everyone. Yeah. Now it's like, we have to shut this whole fucking thing down. It's like, why not just have make sure the refugees are in a safe fucking place where they have food and water and shelter and all that.
Background check.
And do, really, extreme vetting out. That's a good word for it. Really looking into the back, because it's not harming anyone.
No,
it's not like, okay, interrogation room, we're going to torture you till we know that you're an innocent person.
It's like imagining a type of resort. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, you're gonna serve them? I'm like, they're comfortable, they're fine, but it's in a specific area where it's like, okay,
they're away from war zones and shit like that.
We're gonna make sure we do a background check. Until then, stay here.
Yeah.
And they're agreeing to it, by the way. It's a choice.
Yeah.
So.
And it's like, and also on the back end of that, Tulsi's anti-interventionist stand would stop a lot of stop creating a lot of refugees in the first place.
You know what's odd? I imagine, I'm not voting for her, but I would imagine if she ever got elected, it would literally be like my conspiracy of someone like this getting elected, right? That like the specific parts of the government itself would work against her. So it's like if the FBI, the CIA did coups, or they engaged in false flags, or at least propping those, making events happen leading up to those things. It's like, oh, so you don't know that your own government's fucking with you. You know what I mean? I always imagine that.
I like someone in our comments saying, like, we've said it before too, like a team of people. Now, if we just take what we have here and make a team, be like, oh, Bernie would be the president. He has the face. He's popular, but he's not touching national security. Tulsi does that. Put her in national security. I'd like Andrew Yang in the economics department, somewhat.
Oh.
At least his like ideas for UBI and all that shit. But keep him away from Russia topics. Keep him away from that shit. So it's like,
I don't know about him.
As far as
I'm gonna have to look at his Jimmy Dore interview more.
If he mathematically came up with a way for there to be universal basic income and free health care, and I think he's against free college. There's something else he was for. If he can come up with that mathematically, I'm like, oh, you're playing a part. I want you in this area working on this.
All right. And then Michael.
But granted, I do think Tulsi is better overall than everyone. I think.
Sure, but I think it's not good enough though.
Well, the problem is she's not the face. Bernie's the face. I think Bernie's gonna win.
I meant what I meant by good enough.
What? Yeah. You're thinking bigger picture.
Yes.
I'm looking at what we have here. All right, let's continue.
So that was why I cast that vote. I have supported and put forward requests for appropriations to make sure that we have resources not only going to the Department of Homeland Security, but to make sure that we have the resources there to support our refugee program to continue. Because it's important. It's part of the fabric of our country.
First of all, thank you for correcting the record on when the vote was. That's why we have these conversations. But we already have an 18-step vetting process, and that's why the great majority of the Democrats voted in the opposite direction. So they were worried that this was an extra layer on top. So you were not as concerned about that.
It was not an extra layer on top. It was simply saying the Department of Homeland Security needs to certify that this vetting process is doing what it's supposed to do.
Okay, asked and answered. So now you stand by radical Islamic extremism, and I love the radical part.
I stand by pointing out very specifically the ideology that's driving terrorist groups. And if you watch that interview, the point that I was making is that Secretary Kerry's comments were not at all identifying the ideology that is driving these terrorist groups like ISIS and Al-Qaeda. And unless and until our leaders do that and understand this threat and our enemy and who they are and why they're doing what they're doing, then there's no way they'll ever be defeated.
Right, and so that's why I was
Like, yeah, let's just throw away the New Zealand shooter. Just say, oh, he's just a troll.
Yeah,
He's just a troll. There's no ideology. Let's throw away the manifesto.
Yeah.
He's just a troll guy.
See how far that gets you? You actually make progress when you literally look at this stuff.
Yeah.
Like very specifically, what did that manifesto say? Where does he fall in the spectrum? He's being very specific as far as like ideology and talking points.
Yeah.
And they all align to that alt-right thing.
Yeah.
Difference is that dude literally went out and shot people. So he's just a troll. Like, wow, great progress. Great progress.
I think normal people have a big problem with bodies being piled up as opposed to in-depth investigation.
Yeah.
Because you're not harming anyone physically. And if it's like, if they're emotionally hurt, it's like, well, let's see if there's a bias there.
Yeah.
I don't think there is in Tulsi's scenario.
saying I love the idea of attacking fundamentalism overall and the radical ideology. The reason I don't attach religions to it because I think it happens all across the world. So there's Buddhists who do it to Muslims in Myanmar, and in 2002 in Gujarat, Hindu nationalists and extremists attacked Muslims, and 2,000 were massacred.
It's like, yeah, call them out too. You can. Why not give them a name and call them out? Like, this is what they're thinking.
It's like assuming that like you're gonna be biased. It's like, no.
Like, yeah, I'll recognize any group that does shitty things.
Yeah.
And that happen to be a particular type of ideologies. The freak.
It's like, him up there, it's like,
Yeah.
I saw him like leap forward.
All right, let's continue.
My physical body cannot keep up with the force of.
Are you concerned about Hindu nationalism being radicalized as it was in 2002?
I'm concerned about anyone who is in the name of religion, whatever religion that may be, inflicting harm and death and pain upon others in the name of God. Or
I say his name Shank.
Shank.
Shank. And then Shank goes, so Islam? Like, this isn't her like diverting from the question, as some fuckers will say. It's like, oh, see, I'll take that question, and I'll answer any other question you got as far as this goes. Anybody, anyone, any religion, anyone that uses any religion in the name of whatever the fuck, you know. But then it's like, but I want you to answer it this way.
Yeah, we have a 30-minute interview. We're 10 minutes in, and they're not really talking about policy at all.
No.
This is a fucking presidential candidate. And these aren't like, oh my God, issues about Tulsi Gabbard. It's about what name she used for this. So. Let's continue.
in the name of religion.
So right there with you. So you voted no on HR 417 in 2013 that condemned that religious violence in India. So why?
I'm not sure. I'd have to look back and see exactly what resolution you're talking about. If it's the one I think it is, it's because it was a resolution being introduced and trying to pass through the House Foreign Affairs Committee in trying to twist and influence India's elections at that time.
No surprise there. I believe her. No surprise there. Like, oh, we'll use this incident, disaster capitalism in a way. We'll use this incident to strong arm our influence in the world.
Yeah.
Like, see, there's bad guys there. We need to go in there and fix things.
I don't believe that the United States should be interfering or intervening in anyone's elections in any other country in the world, and that was the objective of that resolution. It was not denying the kind of religious-based violence that occurs, whether it be in India or in other places.
So Prime Minister Modi is...
If I keep hearing more of this stupid, silly, the words you used, even though it's like, did she say, is she being very specific?
Yeah. She's been on a string of interviews lately, and it's like I've heard the people that I've heard interview her ask these questions, and they like, let's just get this question over with. It takes like 2 minutes and it's over.
Yeah.
Then they get on to policy, like Michael Tracy, like Jimmy Dore.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, you get stuck on, what about the name calling? What about Modi?
A complicated character, as are a lot of the world leaders, and it's not a black and white issue. And so, again, I want to give enough space here to have a nuanced conversation about it. But, and I know a lot of Indian Americans who are big fans of him for other reasons. But he was in control in Gujarat in 2002. There are a lot of credible sources that said he looked the other way and perhaps even encouraged that massacre. What's your take on that? Do you think that Modi was partly responsible for that?
All I can look at are the facts, and that is this has gone through India's judicial system. I believe over years there have been extensive investigations, and he was not tried or found guilty for being responsible for those massacres. Again, the paper on this is extensive, and I'm not going to. Like so many of you, it is painful and disheartening to see how much divisiveness.
We would play her.
I claim to have read every one of them, but I have heard and read the conclusions, and that is, if he was responsible, that was not something that their Supreme Court went all the way up to their Supreme Court, and that was not the case.
Okay, let's switch to domestic policy a little bit. So I'll ask you the same thing I asked Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders. Yeah. Are you in favor of Medicare for all? And does that mean just Medicare for all, or could it also mean buy-in? What's your definition in that sense of Medicare for all?
It's interesting now that it's no longer just a question of do you support Medicare for all. Now there are all of these other nuances to the conversation.
Yeah, because they'll fucking fish you in. A Medicare for all. With this system, I mean. By the system means you have to pay for it.
Cory Burke will expand Medicare for 55 years and older instead of 65. And
fuck that guy. Fuck.
Just say you want to fucking shoehorn in the insurance companies. Just say that.
Yeah.
Fuck it. You're not gonna win anyways. Just be honest, Cory.
Guys, listen. I'll shoe in the insurance companies, but I'm being honest. I also want to suck your dick. I'm being totally honest. I'm being honest.
Let's continue.
Support Medicare for all. I've been a co-sponsor of the legislation in the House now for a few years. I think it is an important change that our country needs to make to address the fact that there are still far too many Americans in this country who have no kind of health insurance or access to health care whatsoever, and far too many who are underinsured and who, because of high deductibles or high copays, can't afford to get the care that they need.
Like, how easy is this? Like, everyone's taken care of. As far as if you look at the healthcare question, like, how hard is that to come up with? Everyone's taken care of.
Yeah.
We'll figure out the money after. I don't know.
I mean, hey.
You might have healthier people. You might have smarter people. You might have more production.
Hold on.
How do you not see that? Good.
What The Rock says is this. Imagine you cut military or Pentagon spending by whatever absurd amount of money. Who's gonna pay them? Who's gonna pay the hospitals? The doctors. Like, do you fuckers know how much money those guys use, or how much money the Pentagon misplaced billions of dollars? I had no idea where it went. Oops.
You know what you guys are going to hear during the Democratic primary debates?
Yeah.
You're going to hear, well, if we get rid of the insurance companies, look at all those jobs that go away.
Fuck out of here. They can do something else.
Yeah, they can do something else.
How do you guys manage the money that will be placed into those doctors? Like, you know.
Why not work on why not work on the national healthcare system?
Yeah, do that.
Why not do that?
Insurance companies now become that. Like, you're actually going to help people. Not, all right, listen, we're also going to give you Medicare, okay? Just you. Your child's covered until he's old enough to become a slave. And by the way, what I mean is, you need that X-ray?
That's a good one.
Let's see. $60 should do it. Copay? And by the way, it's a factory, bitch. Gonna massage your ass for 5 minutes. Pump next.
Yeah, insurance companies won't completely go away. You'll have plenty of rich people that want like plastic surgery.
I went through my little venture of
some
rehabilitation, and that's what it looks like.
They're gonna invent some sort of bigger dick surgery someday. So they're gonna need insurance. We're gonna need insurance companies for that.
Actually, it's already there.
Yeah.
See, imagine like a rope, like this. It's there. Well, I'm serious. It's just, no one's gonna go that far. Some will. Yeah. Not that far. No, it's this.
All right.
Insert El Duce, no freaky.
El Duce. Let's continue.
Every single person in this country deserves to have the care, the quality health care that they need. If there are other private insurance plans or programs that are being offered outside of Medicare for all, of course, people should be free to be able to choose those if they want.
So she covers the private insurance question. Well, what if I want my own health care? It's like, well, go get it, asshole. Go pay for it, you rich, asshole.
Yeah, look.
Yeah, but that means, but these guys shouldn't be covered though. They should have to earn it.
Fuck that, man.
That's basically I think that's their real argument. These guys that are against Medicare for all, I think their real argument is they got to earn it. But they'll say other words like, that's socialism. How you gonna pay for it? They make up these other excuses just because of that. Whatever. Let's continue.
So that is a question that I wanted to focus on a little bit too. So Bernie Sanders, for example, says if you want to have cosmetic surgery, sure, get private insurance for that. But otherwise, it would be eliminated. In fact, he says, damn right.
Here you fucking go. Look. It's like Little Mary, Listen, man, like they call her Little Mary though she's like 20. She's like 5'5". The point is, listen, I'm sorry you don't have big tits. If you want them, you can go get them. Do you need them? No, you don't.
No.
Okay. Now, is that Sue? Like, intestinal bleeding? This way.
Yeah, immediately.
Yeah.
You're good from the jump.
Or, hey, is your leg broken?
But what about the waiting rooms? Come on, guys.
Dude, I literally want to get like a fucking club with nails in it. But it's like, to me, whenever I hear shit like that, I imagine, what about, who's going to build the roads? Hold them down. Give me that club.
And if you think about it,
get a sock.
If people are if there's more healthy people, there'll be less crowding at hospitals.
Yeah.
I forgot the number.
What I mean here, when I say that shit, I don't mean the people who are like, well, I had no idea. You want to beat me up for that? Like, no, it's like a figure of speech. I'm basically.
They get it.
No, they don't. Look, what I specifically mean is those dudes that know that there's a different way.
Yeah.
Because this is what I mean. When they present you that argument, well, who's going to build the roads? Or who's going to pay these doctors, They're going to have a counter argument for what you're about to say, how it could happen. Which means they had to fucking contemplate the answer I'm going to give. Which means they know it's going to make a lot more sense, which is how they're going to distort what I'm saying. So I'm like, you.
Very interesting. That's usually a capitalist argument.
Well, here's the shit,
Well,
right?
who's gonna build the
It's
road?
like that's why I'm like, you're probably corrupt, bro, because you had to fucking think of what I'm about to say.
Oh no, you're right. My bad.
That's right. Once again.
No, actually, you were arguing from a capitalism standpoint.
Me?
Not you weren't doing that, but that's an argument they usually go to.
What?
Like, who's gonna build the roads?
No, that's what's being presented.
I get what you're saying. I'm just saying.
Do you?
Stereotypically. All right, let's continue. Enough babbling.
Right. So,
All right, Mel Gibson.
do you agree with that, or do you think that the private insurance should have a larger role?
I think this has to still be worked out. I don't think that this is fully addressed in either of the pieces of legislation in a practical way of implementation, what that would look like exactly. I've been studying and looking at some of the models that exist in other countries in the world who have single-payer systems or universal healthcare systems, and just about everyone has some role that private insurance still plays. There are different reasons and, again, different models. So I think as we look at the implementation of Medicare for All, this is something that we need to work out.
As long as it doesn't turn healthcare into a business, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, you shouldn't be. You should not be making some sort of profit off of helping somebody in need.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is this, right? Big difference between, all right, I have an aneurysm. I have a fucking blood clot in my leg.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck, I have cancer. Or, fuck, I have a tumor. I want a bigger butt. I don't want to work out for it.
They should almost put them in two separate classes.
Or I need to rehab my ACL.
Yeah.
Like
Put them in two separate classes where it's like survival healthcare and for fun healthcare. For fun is for insurance companies. For survival is Medicare for all.
Right. No. Well, you should. It's called healthcare.
Yeah.
Right. Call that healthcare. Call this, whatever.
Yeah.
You just call it literally
Who cares? Yeah. As long as it gets done.
No.
I don't even care what
you got healthcare and you got who cares.
Yeah.
Who cares? You do, because your tits are small. This way.
All right.
It's called who cares.
All right. Let's continue.
Is Medicare buy-in also Medicare for all, or no?
No, I don't think so. I don't know if I'm fully familiar with those bills, but I think Medicare for All clearly stands on its own.
Got you. So when John Conyers first introduced Medicare for All resolution back in 2015, you did not co-sponsor it. So did you have a change of mind, or
like everything, it's a big change to our healthcare system. And it's something that, like a lot of people in this country, I wanted to learn more about and think more about how this change could actually be brought about.
Okay, let's go to Green New Deal.
Yeah.
Apparently most people want that, right?
Yeah. This channel's so awesome. I love it. Thanks, Secular.
Thanks, Secular. Are you related to Kyle? I wonder. Jose. Oh, no. Joe. Joe said it's true. I've done that before. Sorry, Joe. Salute to you. Salute to Kyle's cousin, Secular S. Let's continue.
Actually, before we go to that, look, I've had a lot of change of mind, right? I used to be Republican. I'm not anymore.
I think if we look at how we want to make progress in this country, we have to hope that people will begin to change their minds on a whole host of issues.
And empathetic.
That's why we do what we do, right? Is to help inform and educate and make that progress possible.
So what was the thing that tipped you over, that made you think, no, I am ready for this. I think this is the right plan.
Look, I think seeing more and more how we spend more money on healthcare in this country than any other country in the world, yet we have far worse outcomes, is unacceptable. So then that begs the question, why is that? Where is all this money going? And why is the quality still inferior to other countries who spend less on their healthcare? And you look at how the big insurance companies and big pharmaceutical companies are more interested in making profits and lining their pockets with money than they are really about, are the people who they're there to serve, are they getting the care that they need?
assassination.
Oh, you think you?
You know, I don't mean to be disingenuous, but you know, it's like a lot of people with a lot of money and a lot of power would not like that.
Yeah.
Would not like that.
Well, they're already. What they're doing is, you know, I think assassination was the old school way. I think they're into just socially assassinating them. You know, making them look bad, disparaging them.
Well,
which is why so many people were pissed at the Young Turks, because they're like, aren't you guys supposed to be like the indie types,
once again,
the independent journalists that don't, you know, they're not.
When someone rang the bell, and then they heard Gillette, you know, they just bend over.
Yeah.
Comment.
It will be interesting to see how many donations Tulsi gets after today. But she's on Joe Rogan today too, or just Dor and TYT. Just Dor and TYT, I think. She wasn't on Rogan. I don't know. No. She was before, but today I don't think so.
No. Wait, she got a jet? Like,
someone recommended the Michael Tracy Tulsi Gabbard one, and that's probably the best one. The Jimmy Dore, I was like listening in and out, like I didn't get to hear all of it, but the Tracy one was pretty good. So check that out. All right, let's continue.
And that is what is at the crux of the problem with our current system, is people are suffering as a result of this profit-making venture that happens on their backs, and people are being exploited.
Green New Deal. Are you in favor of it?
I'm in favor of these goals that we have to take aggressive action to address the climate crisis that we face. This is why
That's what I think the Green New Deal was about, just laying goals out there. I don't think it was a schematical, here's what's going to happen,
like,
here's how we're going to implement it.
I've been planning this for about 8 months. Here it is.
And I even said, I don't know if we did this here.
To me, it sounds like a potential of an idea.
Yeah. And I don't know if I said this on video, if we were just talking privately. I said they should, all the ideas that were in there, that they should split them up. Not have it like, here's climate, here's healthcare, here's this, here's that, all in one bill. Like, that's what made me think that it's just a thing to get the ideas out there. Now go talk about them. I think that was AOC's point. Now you're gonna have to go talk about it.
And people did.
Yeah. Let's continue.
Hold on, wait.
last year, the Off Fossil Fuels Act, an actionable plan.
Ah, yeah, good point.
Wait.
I said Nico House earlier. I forgot about it. My bad.
Blaster Master, man. Pew, pew, pew.
She's doing Rogan again really soon, apparently. First pause. Second off. Good. Maybe they can talk about Bari Weiss and Sam Harris.
Do it.
But I doubt Rogan. Rogan's like, no, I don't know.
Pew, pew, pew.
He's gonna bring up the aside. See, when Rogan has these types of people around him constantly, and they say certain ideas, now if he has an interview with Tulsi, he's gonna be bringing up the same things that Jank did in the beginning of this video.
Yeah, I know.
To where it's all this, to where she has to defend herself of these disparaging type comments, instead of getting out like, okay, what do you really believe?
Yeah,
What's your real solutions? Now we're talking about, are you an Assad toady? What happened there?
Yeah, I know. It's like, hey, Joe. Not you, Joe. I mean, Joe Rogan.
He's our Joe.
Well, that's why...
That guy's Joe Rogan over there.
Look, right? There's Joe. Rogan's just a Joe.
Yeah.
Our Joe.
Our Joe.
And, well, the bear, but, you know. But anyway, specifically, right? He should not, like, Rogan should have Dor and Tulsi on there at the same time.
I wish he had.
Or
yeah,
have Tulsi and someone else like in opposition.
I wish that would happen, but I doubt Tulsi would do that. Something tells me that her people would be like, "No, don't do that." Not that she would look bad in that scenario.
Yeah.
But just because, like, okay, we need to debate these guys, not these guys. We need to get on the debate stage for whoever, Beto, Biden, Kamala Harris,
I
Cory Booker,
gotta read this.
Bernie Sanders.
Hello. Tulsi can get it, my vote.
Good. I like that one.
That was good.
You should make a T-shirt of that one. Just don't wear it at work, though.
No, it's like Tulsi can get it. Turns around, my vote.
Let's continue.
Plan to get our country off of fossil fuels, make investments in green, renewable energy economy, provide that support for training a workforce to be able to help support us in getting there. There are some provisions in the Green New Deal resolution that I have a problem with. One being the federal jobs guarantee. That's not something that is fleshed out in any way in the resolution. And if we look at that concept just broadly, we have seen how it has been tried and failed in other countries.
I am getting so
Now,
hot,
real
I'm
quick.
gonna take my clothes off.
Now, real quick on the climate issue.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I have no
I've
fucking
heard
clue.
arguments from either. I've heard someone I rely on and like,
Mr. Corbett?
James Corbett, say these guys are, all this shit is phony. Their statistics are bullshit. They're fudging numbers to get this some sort of agenda. That's more conspiracy leaning.
Well,
And then I hear guys I like Jimmy Dore, saying we need to fight climate change and all this stuff. And I'm not a climate scientist, and I haven't really dived deep into climate science.
me either.
So I fall back to the I don't know. But where I do step up at is when I say, shouldn't we just take care of the fucking planet?
I know.
Shouldn't we
Why not?
Shouldn't we get rid of black smoke coming out of trucks and fucking
Buses and
buses and the
fucking jets and
Yeah.
planes, airlines, etc. You know.
Yeah, if you could run a car on water, why not go for that? Why would I was like, no, we need oil to do this.
Well, wait.
We have to stick to
The
oil.
explosion would be like catastrophic.
Yeah.
Like, hey guys, they can make a containment thing for that engine. You know.
Oh yeah, and if you are conspiracy leaning, watch our video. Our problem with Joe Rogan is, and it's going to be Joe Rogan and Eddie Bravo sitting down, to where Eddie Bravo explains how big oil changed the world, or what is it?
Conquered the world.
Conquered the world.
Then it was how and why.
Yeah. And he talks about Rockefeller wanting alcohol banned so that they don't use ethanol as fuel,
That's a guy I
because he
doubt.
controlled all the oil.
That's a guy I doubt will ever get on fucking Rogan's podcast. James Corbett, honestly.
Or Ryan Dawson.
Well, Ryan Dawson has no shot. Yeah. He's
Yeah.
he's literally only
It's sad,
shot.
but it's kind of funny.
His only shot is if fucking Eddie Bravo, basically puts like a needle in his balls and just,
If he
I'm
begs,
bringing you on. Let's go.
if Eddie begs his way, like, just have me on, but I'm bringing a friend.
Hey, I don't take Eddie seriously. He's too silly. I don't think he gives a fuck.
All right.
He gives enough of a fuck.
All right, let's continue. What the freak?
What did you do?
Okay, so that's a clear answer. And let's go back to the oil companies. So in your plan, in your bill, and your vision of the future,
Sure.
would we no longer have oil companies?
We would end our subsidies to these oil companies and basically eliminate the market for them. By transitioning our country off of fossil fuels, we're creating a whole, it's not a new industry, it's there, but we need to be able to grow and further this investment in green renewable energy that protects us
Pause it.
as people.
Look at that fucking poor bird just.
Yeah. That image right there looks like the skies of, what was it? Was it Syria?
Yeah.
After Israel was done bombing them,
Yeah.
bombing the Golan Heights or something like that. Yeah. So that's a big statement right there. Like, we're basically gonna,
Like I said,
you guys are gonna be sitting the bench and you're gonna end up quitting.
possibly assassinated. But I remember Corbett talking about, they're already heading that way. They're already heading towards green.
That is Corbett's thing too. He's saying that they're gonna use, like, it's not really about oil. They're not in love with oil. They're in love with the things they get from having oil.
Yeah, profits.
And once again, that's conspiracy stuff. But please check it out. James
Hold on.
Corbett, How Big Oil Conquered the World.
James Corbett is the guy who used to have
Sibel Edmonds on.
Edmonds on, right?
Yeah.
Corbett Report.
Yeah. Until Sibel. Joe. Joe knows the truth. Until Sibel got into like a beef with Ava Bartlett, and then Corbett had enough. He's like, I'm making an hour video where it's an ether.
Yeah.
He ethered them and Newsbud. But let's continue.
People is better for our environment and begins to address the climate crisis that we face. I think it's important for us to recognize as we talk about this that even if we do every single thing that we need to do in this country, both in changing, personal choices in the way that we live our lives, deal with transitioning off of fossil fuels and investing in renewable energy, dealing with our agriculture industry that contributes so much carbon to the atmosphere, further worsening this problem. Still,
cows.
even if we do all of these things, it still would not be enough. This is a global crisis, and this is why it's important that we work with other countries in coordination, with cooperation, to be able to achieve this common objective to this threat that faces us all.
It's a cowtail.
Right. And
It's this.
I think that everybody on the left, at least, can agree that the subsidies to the oil companies are unconscionable.
Completely.
Totally unnecessary.
And these oil companies can drive like foreign policy in a lot of cases.
Oh.
Like a lot of shit we've done in South America. And I'm even talking before Venezuela. Fucking Exxon Mobil, fucking, was it Valdez or some shit like that?
Something like that.
It's basically a guy with a monopoly mustache going over just pouring oil in people's drinking water. It's like, yeah, fuck it.
Yeah. Hey, look at Venezuela.
No one will care about this area.
What do they have that many people would probably, corrupt leaders would lose, or business?
Yeah. Tulsi is not making herself popular with these giant corporations.
Oh, fuck no. Like I said, they'll try to assassinate her socially. If that don't work.
Economic hitman.
Hey, as far as the theory of that, I would not be surprised.
Yeah.
Would not be surprised at all, which is, I would hope.
When I was watching Dora, I did see this where she had a tweet about Monsanto and their fucking chemical Roundup.
Yeah. They're fucked.
Yeah. So
It's like everywhere
she
now.
talked about homelessness. Jimmy Dore's like, oh, Jimmy.
Made about the LGBT community came out. Talk to me about the transition. When did you transition away from, I'm whatever it was that your opinion was at the time, to now being in favor of gay marriage, equal rights across the board?
Yeah.
I just thought of something like, it's interesting how these things line up. What's your thing, Freeze? I think we're still going good.
I got you.
I was just thinking of like, what if you have like the purest, best versions of, I hate the idea of two teams, but Republican, Democrats. If you had like the perfect model versions of them, and you have like a Tulsi Gabbard versus a Ron Paul, they'd be saying the same answer just in different ways. Like Tulsi would be like, we need to make sure there's gay rights and LGBTQ, make sure they have rights. And Ron Paul would be like, why is that my business? Why is it my business of people getting married? Shouldn't that be a personal decision for them? Why is the government doing it in the business of marriage?
Isn't that creepy?
See how their answers are both the same, but set in different ways, kind of?
Yeah.
Like, that's what we should be having right now. That should be the presidential race, not this fucking bullshit, corporate team playing bullshit that we constantly see for years and years and years. Let's continue. Let's hear Tulsi's answer to this.
I just want to be clear at the outset, my commitment to fighting for equality for all Americans, fighting for LGBTQ equality, is not just an empty. Like so many of
Damn
you,
it, Tulsi.
it is painful and disheartening to see how much divisiveness. Statement. It's not an empty promise. It is evident through my record in over 6 years in Congress, 100% legislative rating from the Human Rights Campaign, And this record of using my position in Congress to further this cause of equality is a reflection of what's in my heart and this commitment, the commitment that I will carry through as president. I grew up in a pretty socially conservative home and had values and believed things then that I don't believe now and haven't for quite some time. I think it's something that I apologized to our LGBTQ community in Hawaii, for example, when I ran for Congress, and some of these legitimate concerns were raised, and I apologized to them for things that I had said in the past and the pain that I had caused for that. And I made a promise to them that I have carried through on throughout my time in Congress, and that commitment to fighting for equality is something that I will continue to push forth in whatever way I can.
It sucks that you have to answer that. It sucks for Tulsi to have to answer that same question
over and over and over.
With basically the same answer every time.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, guys. Let's continue.
Like 21 minutes have gone by.
Now we'll find out if Cenk asks like a follow-up to keep this particular topic going when it's like, let's move on.
All right, you went to an event where the Adelsons were, Sheldon Adelson.
Now this is what I want to hear. I want to hear her stance in particular. Jimmy didn't get to it about Israel-Palestine.
Yeah.
Let's
see
huge
if she backs off.
Let's find out. Well, let's see if Cenk actually asked the fucking question.
I always get confused if it's Adelson or Adelson. It's only been 10 years that I've been saying the name. And you have a picture with Miriam Adelson, and I'll go with Adelson, and Rabbi Shmuley. Now, I know Rabbi Shmuley, and I might have taken a picture with him at some point. He's opposed to me. He's very conservative. And that's a group that is in favor of Israel, but everybody's in favor of Israel. That's not the question. Adelson is very in favor of the very right wing. And that's a group that is in favor of Israel, but everybody's in favor of Israel. That's not the question.
Okay.
Adelson is very in favor of the very right-wing government of Israel. So not so much about the picture.
Very right-wing. Hey, dude, are they right or are they wrong? You know?
Yeah, that's the only right you should be saying.
Yeah.
Also,
are they? You know? Is there tyranny?
Yeah.
Is their government doing anything like crimes against humanity?
Yeah, I would say so.
Like, fuck. They're very right-wing government. Like, listen.
Yeah. Corrupt or...
Let's just drive an SUV through the fucking room and... fuck it,
like he's actually showing us why labels matter, as he asked her before about why do you say Islam in there when you say radical Islam?
Yeah.
It's like, let's continue.
Sure, anybody can take a picture with anybody.
That's generally, that's what happened there and what happens all the time.
Right. But were you surprised that they gave you a welcome reception, the Adelsons?
I
Not
wouldn't
the right
say
question,
that there
Cenk.
was a welcome reception. Again, that was a picture of walking through the hall and saying, hey, let's take a picture. So I think this is a complete mischaracterization going off of a picture in a hallway.
Okay, so did you talk to Sheldon Adelson? No. See, I went back to Adelson. Okay, so...
I wish he would have asked a more pertinent question rather than, who are you hanging around? He's going off of Anna's, whatever that was, mini-doc thing, statement, commentary.
Yeah, okay.
Where it's like, where it's guilt by association. He's going off of that. Like, why not ask about actual topics within, like, okay, if you're seen around these guys who are super pro-Israel, why not ask about a particular subject or topic surrounding that area?
Sure, hey.
What do you think about Israel-Palestine?
Yo, what do you think about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict?
Yeah.
Not only that, ECW, 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 ECW. Taz? 9 watches, but we don't have 9 likes. Why is Cenk behaving weird? Cenk behaving weird?
I don't watch him enough to know if he's acting weird.
Maybe he has butterflies because Miss Tulsi is right next to him.
Oh, by the way, Taz, we have your video.
ECW.
We recorded it. We're going to have it uploaded by tomorrow. All right, let's continue.
Have you ever received a donation from Sheldon Adelson?
No.
And do you know if any PACs supporting you have ever gotten money from him?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. So there's concern that
Why not
you
ask what
voted
the
for a
PACs
bill
are?
that would outlaw.
Why not ask what the PACs are right there? I mean, I don't think it's going to be anything incriminating, but at least ask that question. I mean, I don't know if he's still in or he's a former Justice Democrat, and their whole thing was about getting money out of politics. Like, so ask about the PACs. That seems like one of your issues. Whatever.
Gambling online, which Adelson is very against because of his casinos. What was your reasoning for that vote?
Let me get the record straight on this. There were two people who were co-sponsors of that bill. I didn't vote for it. I actually introduced the legislation. It was myself and Jason Chaffetz, who was then a member of Congress representing Utah. There are two states in this country where gambling is illegal: Hawaii and Utah. So what this bill did was address the fact that there was a rule change in the Obama administration that dealt with online gambling. Our bill basically said if this change is going to be made, then it should be brought forward through Congress, through legislation, so that we as representatives of our constituents, both of us representing states that have not legalized gambling, can have a debate and actually see whether or not this is a change we want to make. So this was about making sure that Congress maintains our authority and responsibility, and that changes like this that impact our constituents and our states are not made by a bureaucrat in Washington.
So you introduced the resolution, and so did you wind up voting for it or against it?
It was never brought to a vote.
Oh, it never brought to a vote.
Yeah.
I understand. Would you have voted for it?
Of course.
Okay. That makes sense since you introduced it.
Yeah, and like I said, this is about representation for my constituents. So any efforts to misconstrue it as anything but that is wrong.
Do you take corporate PAC money at this point?
No.
Okay. And when did you stop taking?
That's the question I wanted to hear. I may have known the answer already, but I still, if that's your thing, ask that question. Also, your fan base probably wants to hear that question.
Taking corporate PAC money?
A few years ago, I'm not sure exactly when, it's been a few years.
What led to that decision?
It was an action that I felt was necessary to make sure that we are moving our Congress in that direction of not even allowing the appearance of any kind of special access or influence by lobbyists or PACs or those who represent them in Washington. I think more and more people in this country are becoming aware of really that corruptive influence of big special interest money in politics. That was the reason why I made that change, and I'm proud throughout my reelection in Congress and now in this campaign for president that we have a people-powered campaign.
Should we end?
Isn't it cool to hear, at least on the surface, outside looking in, to see like people progress? I don't know. That seems like a cool thing to me.
Yeah.
Granted, I like your idea to where they should be already made whole by the time they even step through the fucking door.
Yeah.
But considering the world we live in, I do like seeing progress. I would say that's a good thing.
Well, I would say, never turn your back on the wolf pack. Dun, 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 dun.
Her name was pretty great. What do you mean? Tulsi?
Never turn your back on the wolf pack. I'm just gonna say that when I don't know the question. James, how do you feel about the depleting economic status of the
Kabukistan.
Never turn your back on the wolf pack.
Can you imagine you on like a debate stage on CNN? Very well. Next, Senator Sanders. What do you think?
Never turn your back on the wolf pack.
All right, were you gonna say something about what she said?
Nah.
No. All right.
Her answer, not her name.
As long as when I get a sense of progression, I like that. I like that.
He wants to know if they asked about Syria.
No, they haven't asked about Syria yet. And also, might be like hovering around what Anna was doing. So, and Anna didn't really bring up Syria like that. She didn't bring that up really. She might have applauded Tulsi for that, but didn't say Syria in particular, I don't think.
Stuck on my head now. God damn it.
All right, let's continue.
As I go to
And the
sleep.
occupation in Palestine,
And whose occupation?
the Israeli occupation of
This
the
is
West Bank
something
of all
that,
the Gaza Strip.
that has to be worked out between Israel and Palestine. I'm not sure what you're saying about we, the United States, has to be. And whose occupation?
The Israeli occupation.
President, that we have a people-powered campaign.
I want to hear this.
Should we end the occupation in Palestine?
And whose occupation?
The Israeli occupation of the West Bank
something
and
that,
Gaza Strip.
that has to be worked out between Israel and Palestine. I'm not sure what you're saying about we, the United States, taking action.
I'm saying push.
All right. Well, Tulsi, come on now. We do fund. We give them
Yeah.
a shitload of money and weaponry and all that shit.
Yeah. As well as we now
But-
recognize Jerusalem as the capital.
Yeah. Also, we
And we're moving
recognize
the embassy.
the Golan Heights as Israel's territory now.
Oh, this too.
like,
we don't.
who are you?
Right? Venezuela.
Venezuela.
What's the president's name?
The fake president or the real one?
Listen, not the flea market fucker. I meant the one that
Maduro.
Maduro. We don't recognize Maduro as the president. I recognize you as a bitch. Now what?
Someone's got to be a
It's
savage.
like,
one
look,
of these
hey,
days.
listen, you know, can you imagine this shit?
Someone's got to go savage on these motherfuckers.
It's like, hey, I recognize you as a cocksucker. No offense to anybody. It's like, now what?
Yeah.
You know? No freaky. That's what I meant to say. No freaky.
Imagine saying that with the U.S. military behind your back.
Yeah.
Like, I guess it's the truth now.
What now? Like, hey, I have a study from Harvard saying that you're a punk bitch. What are you gonna do?
All right,
What are you
listen.
gonna do?
Listen, I want to hear this.
Yeah,
I want to hear this response.
yeah.
Pushing for a two-state solution, and I would argue aggressively pushing for a two-state.
I think we should do all that we can to help promote peace and security, both for the Palestinian people and the people of Israel. Ultimately, that long ongoing conflict is something that has to be worked out between the leaders of those two people and those two countries.
But are you opposed to the occupation?
Yes.
Okay. So
There we go. It wasn't so hard.
Yeah. Well, I would have had a lot more follow-ups. Like, how do you go about it? Like, we're already funding them a lot, and it seems a little one-sided. Israel to Palestine seems quite a bit one-sided.
Yeah, you have the fucking U.S. government funding you.
So it's hard to say, okay, this government and this government will sit down and have talks with each other. It's like,
That's like the corporate rock.
yeah.
Getting help from the corporation, Vince McMahon, and then there's mankind. It's like, it's me.
You see what you did, Taz? Now he has wrestling all on the mind now. Actually flinched right there.
Too many
I'm not known for flinching.
Too
but I
many
flinched.
years of.
All right, so in her answer saying she's against the occupation is also the same as calling it an occupation. I believe AOC backstepped on that in that one interview. So I think it's like an issue.
Taz said, Assad watches TYT. I had no idea.
Yeah, I had no idea. I don't know why either.
Joe,
No offense to TY.
she called Israel and Palestine, quote, countries, which is inaccurate but a minor issue.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Israel has declared their borders yet, which means they could
They're
just keep
ever
expanding.
expanding borders?
Yeah, and Palestine I don't think is recognized as a straight up country.
Yeah, by who, though? Yeah, it's funny, right?
Yeah. It's very weird.
I don't, can you imagine?
I believe Israel calls them like a terrorist state because of Hamas. Creepy, man.
Like I said, we don't recognize that thing with clothes as a person.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we recognize you as a bitch.
That's essentially what happened when they when they killed 50 plus people in that protest.
A dude in a wheelchair.
You don't recognize them as people and you recognize them as terrorists, basically.
Yeah.
Let's continue.
I want to go to one more clip here. It's video 12. This happened during the budget showdown between Trump and the Democrats that just concluded a couple of months ago. And you were on TV, and I wanted to show it and then get your reaction. Okay.
That's interesting, though, because you sound like you're not just blaming President Trump on this, you're also blaming Democratic leaders in Congress.
Both sides have completely hardened their positions and are unwilling to come together and work out the differences. And that's the problem here. It's a problem that we see with a lot of issues that come before us in Washington, is an unwillingness to just say, hey, here's my position, here's yours. Let's figure out how we can work out the differences that we can, putting forward the best solution for the American people.
So,
wow, that sounded surprisingly human. It's like, oh, have an individual idea from your own perspective, and then let's look at all the ideas laid out. Rather than, I'm on this team, we go this way. I'm blue, so everything's blue.
New World Order. Does it say?
Where am I at? Taz?
Yes.
Michael Isikoff is a reporter who was first to interview Assad because Assad requested it. Michael is friends with Cenk. Why didn't Anna interview her instead? Because she made the whole fucking video. That's one of the first things I asked. I'm like, why isn't Anna doing this?
I'm telling you, man.
It's whatever. If they both have the same talking points, as long as the issues are addressed, cool. Let's.
Gillette, Punk.
Let's continue.
So that's interesting because I think that some progressives might have concerns about that because they thought Trump was pretty wrong about.
He was wrong, absolutely wrong.
So do you think the
there were
Democrats
some
were equally
Democrats
wrong?
who took the position politicizing really the real issue at heart, which is border security, and took that extreme position where Trump is saying, I want a wall from sea to shining sea, and others took the position, absolutely no wall what.
Ben Shapiro's going to jump all over that one. From sea to sea? Anti-Semite? Nah.
Oh, fuck that little rat.
All right, let's continue.
So,
No Kramer.
Both are missing the point, which is, as a country, we have to have secure borders. Democrats and Republicans in the past have supported certain barriers or walls being built at different times and in certain places where it made sense to do so. To take either one of those extreme positions is wrong. I think ultimately the bipartisan deal that was brokered to end that 35-day-long shutdown that Trump took responsibility for, that he owned, that was driven by him, was exactly what needed to happen. It just should have happened a lot sooner.
So it seemed at that point in time that you were arguing the Democrats should have given a little bit more for the wall.
I'm saying we have to have a conversation. We have to be willing to talk. We have to be willing to have those negotiations so that we can deal with the heart of the issue. It serves no one in this country to have Republicans hardening their position on one side, which they have done, and Democrats, some on the other side, hardening their position without any willingness to even.
We're about to hit the road to go meet the
Fuck
people who
outta
will
here.
comprise
Fuck
this
a
campaign.
beta.
A campaign for this country.
Beta man.
Talk and address the heart of the problem and how we can solve this.
All right.
Now, that's another one of those things. Okay, she's talking about border security and saying that's important. And I would agree with her there. But she also talks about Venezuela. See how you have both things there? It's like Latino Superman bringing up, like, yeah, I agree with border security, but the root cause is regime change in South America, or toppling governments and coups and shit like that. And Tulsi has a stance on Venezuela, which is it's a happening now fucking coup happening, or attempted coup. So it's like strike at the root and try to mitigate the problems of immigration. Seems pretty simple to me. I don't know. What?
Joey speaks.
Joe says, the real issue is not border security. The heart of the issue is why are all these people trying to get into the country from Latin America?
Keep going.
Exactly.
Keep going.
Exactly.
Keep going.
And the answer to that is our failed policy on illegal drugs, generally coming from those countries, which has caused massive amounts of gang violence, which has forced these people to flee. That and toppling the governments of these places that would enforce their own laws against gangs and shit like that.
Sure.
Once you topple them, then gangs can run freely.
So it's economic warfare as well as, all right, we're gonna fund these rebels. That's gonna cause a fucking like civil war.
Mm-hmm.
And then in your city or your town becomes basically a rebel.
Yeah.
Or just incredibly dangerous to fucking live. So what do you want to do? This has been going on for about 3 years. I had enough. Let's move. Let's fucking go.
Yeah. Taz says we need immigration reform plus ending war on drugs, not a wall, which is 18th century out-of-date policy.
But according to Crowder, walls work.
Yeah.
Man, why don't you build a wall around yourself? How about that?
And it's a waste of money if you get to the root cause.
Sure. Fuck, man. If that isn't exposing, I don't know what is.
Joe says she is wrong, very wrong, saying it's about border security. I guess she's talking about DACA or the wall itself. Yeah. Well, I think Trump's thing is more about, in a way, like hedging bets for his next election. This is my issue.
Well, Trump is going to run on fear porn.
Oh, I thought my
For her, if she doesn't fucking bring that up, I'm going to get pissed.
Yeah.
Hey,
Right.
why there immigrants coming into here like illegally? Where are they coming from, and why are they so desperate to get in here?
And in a way, I think that gets cleaned up when she starts talking about Venezuela.
Yeah.
But let's continue.
One more vote, and that is on the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau.
Yeah.
So there was an issue on House Resolution 1737 where NAACP and 24 other groups that represent minorities in this country thought that the Protection Bureau should be empowered to handle discrimination, and that was their perception of it. You voted against what they thought, and so I wanted to get your take and again explain to folks
Sure.
why you voted that way.
I heard from small business owners who owned small auto dealerships in my home state of Hawaii, who are Asian Americans and minorities themselves, who were concerned about the lack of due process, that they were being accused of discrimination based on race when they had no ability or no pathway to determine on what basis was that accusation being made. So this was small business owners coming forward and saying, not that they disagreed with the fact that this may be happening in certain parts of the country, and if so, it's absolutely wrong. They wanted to be able to have an open line of communication with the CFPB in order to determine what is the criteria, what is the basis. They want to make sure that they're doing the right thing, but they didn't have that opportunity to do so.
So,
All right, on that topic, I'm pretty ignorant. Trying to combat, what was it? Like discrimination or something?
Something in regards to race.
Yeah, and she voted in a certain way because people were being accused of being that discriminate.
Man. Everything back at Wolfpack.
All right. Joe says, I wish she had more nuanced answers than it's about border security.
Yeah.
She might. I don't know.
Well, hey, if he kept asking specific questions, but she could have went on like a little monologue right there,
Yeah, I agree with Joe, but at the same time, I don't think Cenk's looking for those type of answers.
No. Taz.
Me? All right. You. We need a progressive president to modify the Controlled Substance Act so proper drugs are banned and not harmless ones by scientific studies. Yeah. It's like.
For a start, yeah.
Yeah, let's legalize weed. For a start.
Yeah.
Imagine the business that comes in from that shit.
Yeah.
That's billions of dollars. Joe says, I thought Cenk was much more fair to her in this interview than Anna would have been. Anna is an emotional wreck, and nuance is always lost on her.
Do you know why I would have liked that though? Like, expose yourself, Anna.
Well, why not have both? So if Cenk is the cooler head there, he can like, okay, let's get an answer first. But all right, let's get through this, and we'll read more comments. 4 minutes left, guys.
Since then, the CFPB has taken action against Honda and Ally Bank for overcharging borrowers of color after that vote did pass.
Yeah.
So, and they've recovered $100 million. Does that make you rethink it?
No, I mean, again, the issue was not whether or not this is happening. This was an issue raised by constituents of mine, small business owners, who were not given any details or criteria about how those determinations were being made, which is they wanted to know what was going on. There were other votes and other pieces of legislation that were brought before us since that time. I think their questions were largely resolved, and I voted for those because I think it's important we do address this issue because it is clearly occurring, and the CFPB needs to be empowered to do so.
Okay, now you're running for president, so obviously something drives you to want to be president. What are your priorities? Why are you running for president?
Look, I'm a soldier. I'm a major in the Army National Guard. Have served there now for almost 15 years. I served on 2 deployments to the Middle East, over 6 years in Congress on the Armed Services and Foreign Affairs committees. I know the cost of war, and I'm running for president to bring about an end to these wasteful, counterproductive regime change wars, work to bring about an end to this new Cold War we're seeing with increasing tensions between the United States and other nuclear-armed countries like Russia and China, and end this nuclear arms race. These things that are costing us trillions of dollars that are coming out of the pockets of Americans all across this country, dollars that we need to bring back to serve the very real and urgent needs of our people. Things like healthcare for all, things like education, investing in our crumbling infrastructure and rebuilding it, making sure that people have clean water to drink in this country, protecting our environment. The needs are great. This issue of the cost of war is central to our being able to address those challenges. I'm running for president to bring about that sea change in our policy, get our priorities straight, and bring these values and principles of service before self back to the White House so that our White House can be that beacon of light for every single person in this country that it should be.
Back?
That would be my thing first and foremost is, I don't know, trying to end bloodshed. And everything else seems like it would fall into place.
Yeah.
It'd be elementary from then on. All right. Where'd I leave off? We need Perea. That's for Joe. Anna loses her shit way too much, and she looks like a damn child most of the time. I used to be a big fan of hers. I hear that from a lot. Well, I don't hear the childish analogy, but I hear the people like, I used to like them. I used to like her. I used to like Cenk. I've heard that from several people. Joe says, I donated to Tulsi, so I support her, and Bernie. Nobody else, really. Oh, is that a response? All right. Yeah. I mean, I liked Andrew Yang for a bit until the whole Russia thing came up. I'm like,
yeah.
Even if I'm not entirely sure, we still take action. What was his words?
He said, I'm not gonna quote him, but it's something like, even if it's only like, even if it's like, what? Yo, pause, son. What the fuck is that?
He said he's gonna drop the hammer on him or something like that.
Oh, you mean this? When he was on Rogan.
If you're a hammer, every problem's a nail.
It's that one dude at the Y that no one ever wants to fucking look at or talk to. When he's done working out, dude's like 50 something. He's like, oh. Oh god.
There shakes a bit.
Specifically, right? He said something in regards of even if, all right, the whole Russia conspiracy with Trump. He said
Russians and hacking.
yeah,
and all that.
he said if they keep it up, and even if he's not even 80% sure, he'll still do something.
Yeah.
And his words were basically had something to do with, you know, harming people. Which
And-
I'm like, oh, fuck you, man.
And he didn't have to mean militarily. He could have meant sanctions and
Oh,
things
yeah,
like
that
that.
too.
Hurt relations.
That kills people, man.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, all right, fuck you, no longer,
Yeah.
no longer.
All right, guys. Last 2 minutes, then we'll get to the comments.
So a lot of progressives would agree with that. And then just a quick follow-up to that. If we're withdrawing from the wars and we're saving that money and we could spend it at home, would you then reduce the amount of money the Defense Department is getting?
Yes, that would naturally occur. I think in addition to ending these regime change wars and this nuclear arms race, we have to look at how our Department of Defense is spending its money and to accomplish what objectives. You know, we've got troops who are deployed all around the world. We need to look at why that is and how those interests may or may not be serving the interests of our country and the American people. So we've got to do an overhaul and really look at and assess our Department of Defense and adjust the spending levels accordingly.
All right, last question.
I wonder what that cannon's for.
It shoots out Reese's Pieces for all the kids across the world.
Known for not wanting to do wars of regime change. What would be your number 2 priority?
Taking those dollars and investing them here in our people. You know, getting to the heart of these problems is what's critical, so that we can address that root cause and then be able to solve them. So I listed a number of different priorities. It's hard to say, well, which one is more pressing than the other, because they're all important. In order to be able to take action and fulfill those priorities, we've got to address that issue of the cost of war.
All right, the website is Tulsi2020.com.
All right. Comment.
Well done. But we just heard what we already expected from Tulsi. Also, some topics I didn't even hear of, so it's not bad from Jank, man.
Yeah.
The way it started, I'm like, he's going into like identity politics and stuff.
If only if it's like, hey, how long you got?
Yeah.
You got all day. Good. 5-hour interview.
All right. Let's see where I left up. All right, Joe says Tulsi is a genuine human being like Bernie. I don't think she cares so much about playing the game of politics. Warren, for example, was wishy-washy answers about shit that she should be rock solid on. Yeah.
I can only say I hope.
And we did a video, and the most interesting thing to me was the Electoral College. I know her thing is like big banks and fighting Wall Street, and that's been her thing for a while. That's what made her popular.
Remember the little Bernie thing?
Yeah.
Like his track record for voting for wars.
Yeah, Ryan Dawson, check it out.
Yeah, so that's why I'm like, I don't trust that dude. And when I heard Tulsi on The View, and she called
Assad a dictator.
Yeah, she called Assad a dictator. I'm like, I can't trust you now.
I think
I like what I hear, but not yet.
Well, I see them in those scenarios. I see them like they're playing politics.
Not good enough.
Yeah, no, not good enough.
No.
But I understand just a normal population looking at like, oh, look at the progression and look how good they are and look at these ideas.
Yeah, no.
And I care immensely about the population's perception of these guys.
Sure.
Like, oh, okay, I'm seeing progress.
Yeah.
I see a bunch of people not voting because it's between Hillary
and now you're seeing dudes, right?
Trump.
They're trying to copy that, but people are fucking getting through. It's like, Medicare for all.
Yeah.
But it's like, no but.
Yeah. You
know what I mean? It's funny. All right.
Taz says, we don't need to legalize it. Lower weed to Schedule 4, which promotes medical use, and further studies on weed to disprove misconceptions. I say legalize it.
Well, here's the shit, right? Who is the government to tell you what to do? As far as what to fucking eat, what to drink, you know? You know what I'm saying? I understand why people are going to say, you don't want to drink bleach.
Yeah.
You know? But at the same time, right, with weed, it's one thing to have studies on like should you smoke it or should you consume it? Is there a more specific way as far as for health benefits?
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, man, you should be able to smoke. I should be able to fucking smoke a Kit Kat bar if I want to, you know?
Yeah. Just legalize it, age limit, off to the races.
Yeah.
I'd say, would it be 18 and older or 21 and older? In my mind, I'm like, I don't look at weed like I look at alcohol at all.
No,
I've tried both. Trust me.
Yeah.
All right.
Honestly, I don't know. It's weird. But alcohol, it's like that might be a legitimate like this could poison you.
Yeah.
I can't get weed poisoning, so
Yeah.
a little different.
You're a lot more impaired.
Yeah.
With alcohol,
Mhm.
you're like, if you black out and don't remember the night before.
Yeah.
Taz says Hawaii suffers U.S. territory laws, which she has failed to explain. Her voting record is based on restrictions U.S. still has on Hawaii when it's not territory anymore. That's some shit that I'm ignorant of. I'm politically ignorant. I understand certain surface issues.
I am now remembering this.
What?
The whole territory thing.
What about it?
They showed up. Mine.
Yeah. And he's talking particular policies that I am ignorant
I'm
on.
in the origin of it.
I am ignorant on it, and I will try to catch up on stuff like that. All right, Joe says, when she said people are just dumb if they voted for Trump on election night, like, is there a goal to push people away or to have discussion with people who might not follow politics like we do? He's talking about Anna there, I think. I'm sure he's talking about Anna. Yeah. Actually, their meltdown video is one of the funniest things ever on when Trump got elected. But yeah, it's a silly thing to do. It's like when we were, like, I started paying attention to politics again during that election, and you can, with all the things happening, the WikiLeaks emails, all these fucking corrupt things coming out about Hillary Clinton.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't blaming people for voting for Donald Trump because he didn't know what the fuck he was gonna do.
Well, he was a virtually
Not exactly, yeah.
He was a virtually unknown.
But Hillary was clearly the most corrupt candidate I've ever seen.
She is the most openly corrupt politician I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Ever seen.
From on the surface to digging deeper into her past.
Yeah.
That was just like, whoa. Okay. Taz says, even I don't know how much damage our territories suffer, and Hawaii. I don't know why she hasn't exposed inequality U.S. territory laws. I don't know.
I'm gonna look into that.
Yeah,
on existing states and territories.
Yeah, on existing states and territories. I'll look into it. I have no idea. Yeah. I'm ignorant of it. Joe says, by the way, this was the first time Tulsi has said publicly she would lower the defense budget. MSM smears will intensify greatly now. Watch.
Did you skip that?
I don't know what that says. AFAC? AFAC?
I don't give a fuck. Alright.
Yeah.
MSM.
All the corporate news channels with their corporate sponsors of, especially she brought up Monsanto too. All the the pharmaceuticals to the military to all this, they're all gonna be shitting on her. They already have, but might make it worse. Tess says, but Assad is dictator. Don't mean they want to invade him. Yeah, true. I mean, I've heard a Syrian girl. I've watched some of her videos around the time Trump was thinking about bombing them, and then he did bomb them. And she's like, no one's saying Assad is the greatest leader of all time, but this is not right to go in there and just get him out.
Like, right? I'm not saying he's the best president ever. I'm not saying he's a good one.
I think he's better than Saddam Hussein. I would think so. Because I don't think he really gassed his own people.
No. But to label someone as a dictator,
Yeah.
you know, it's like, come on.
Taz says it's federal. A state, you can legalize it, but you can't smoke it outside the state. If it was legalized, yeah.
All I'm saying is, look, in an ideal world where you aim for the best possible scenario,
Yeah.
I should be able to walk wherever the fuck I want with that thing in my hand.
Out in the open, if you're a certain age and above, just
Yeah.
chilling out, walking down the street, smoking a joint.
Yeah. All right, last one.
All right, last comment. That's the beauty of U.S. federalism. It's decentralized between federal and state, but Constitution is centralized to interpenetrate federal state laws. And this is what happens when your viewers are probably smarter than you are. This is what happens.
Yeah. Which is why, you know, since we have a live stream back, people can call in whenever they want.
Yeah.
Whenever.
And we'll make sure we'll put up like a countdown before the stream starts, so you guys, whatever, so you guys know what's going on.
All right.
All right, guys. Great comments. I like this interview. I agree with Joe that it might have been ruined by Anna, but I still wanted her there because she threw the smoke in the first place. I don't know. I thought she should have been there at least. Maybe she's busy. Who knows?
Yes, you can call us.
Yes, you'll need Google Hangouts, and then you can call in. We can talk to you. You can talk to us. Get this party started.
Tell them how they can message.
What?
They can message you before they call in.
Yeah, on Google Hangouts, you can message there too. It's in our email address. Just type it in there because this tablet's gonna be annoying. It's thegrocerylist132112@gmail.com. James is gonna put it into the chat so you guys know. And then you message us. You let us know when you want to come on, what topic, and then we'll set up a schedule or whatever. Because sometimes, hopefully, like, this is more than our average. The grocery list, 132112@gmail.
I hope I spelled that right.
I'll see when you hit enter. So yeah, because if we have enough people watching and shit, we'll do shows where it's just us just taking calls and just talking to people.
Did James spell it right?
Yeah, good job.
We is smart. We graduated. Yes.
Joe says this is what happens when your viewers are high as fuck.
All right.
Taz says, I love how real this is.
No,
Reminds me of
he
Sam Cedar.
said, I love how real this is. Except Sam probably, like, you know, doesn't answer everybody.
Yeah, they try. The things they put on YouTube is different than their radio show where they just take calls all day.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So,
I don't hate Sam.
hey, Crowder, debate that motherfucker.
Yeah,
Open call to Steven Crowder.
Crowder.
Debate Sam Cedar.
God, what a fucking punk.
All right, guys, that's it from us. Have a good night wherever you are in the world, and enjoy the finer things in life. Also, check that description box for Devon's Journey to Recovery. It's a GoFundMe link. It's helping out one of our subscribers. He was in the chat today, Pyramid7. Him and his wife, they got to pay medical bills because we don't have free fucking healthcare for some reason. So please, any amount will help. Donate to Devon's Journey to Recovery. Link in the description box. And with that said, that, and also give this video a thumbs down.
Say you wanna get in.